The question, though, and you have a good point, is his durability. Because, DDP is an indestructible Australian fucking tank. He's a big dude and can take a lot of punishment. Ken Strickland. So we'll find out. I think he can, and I think it makes for a great fight. I just think Strickland's game plan in what the questions that need to be answered are those first 3 rounds. Can he withstand the onslaught of Khamzat? If he can, that round 4 and 5 can get tricky for Khamzat. That's where Strickland really thrives, and what's that look like if we do get there? And that's why I hang my hat on, where I'm like, I think he has a better chance to beat him than DDP did. That's it. Could be totally wrong. Could be totally off. I'm telling you, Khamzat's the most impressive fight I've ever seen in training. What he did to these D1 and world champions is fucking mind-blowing. And he might go in there and fucking mollywop Strickland the first round. Would not be surprised with either.
But I think Chimaev's just going to be too big, too strong. But I think Strickland will do better than DDP. I do. I think styles make fights. I think just because he beat him there, that's something that could happen. But yeah, I certainly think that that this is a fight that Chimaev will win. And I don't think I'm saying anything crazy here. And that's the way I'm going in this fight. So I guess I should say I think most people are going to be picking Chimaev here. So if you are picking Strickland, tell me how you think he's going to win.
It's very weird. Right? It fucks you up, and he's really good at moving back away from shots
circling
and
out
countering.
while the hands are in your face.
Yeah,
too.
it's weird.
He also throws like looping shots on purpose sometimes. Like you would think it's bad technique, but he's like finding a way around your guard.
Yeah,
and he's catching you with weird stuff. And his fucking jab is on point. That fluffy fight.
Were you calling that one?
No.
The highly anticipated clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland has ignited a fierce debate with no clear consensus on the likely outcome. While some observers confidently predict a wrestling masterclass from Chimaev, others contend that Strickland possesses the skills to transform the bout into a different kind of grueling encounter. The diverse range of opinions highlights the intriguing complexity of this matchup, making it a focal point of discussion within the fight community, where experts are closely examining potential turning points and key strategies.
Sean Strickland, not at the White House card, but he's got a title fight against Khamzat Chimaev. How does that thing play out?
I think Khamzat wins by dominant takedowns. Khamzat tries to stand with Strickland. I think Strickland picks him apart on his feet, but I don't think it's going to be like that. Everybody watched his last match, the way Khamzat wrestled or fought. He wrestled really, really well. He's aggressive, I want to say world champion, but Olympic champion style of wrestling, whereas just like Khabib, just on you like a wet paper bag, or just on you, on top of you nonstop, where you can't get away from him. And this kind of goes back to when I fought Randy Couture. It felt like I had an oak table on top of me and I could not get away at all. And that's how Khabib fights. That's how Chimaev fights. And that's just aggression. That's how I used to fight. Be the same thing. Guys could not get away from me. And once I dragged them to the ground, I was like, I was done.
Addressing skepticism about Sean Strickland's competitive viability, Brendan Schaub acknowledged the concern, especially recalling Khamzat's dominant performance against Dricus du Plessis and the fear of a similar, if not intensified, pressure. However, Schaub also highlighted Strickland's underappreciated ground game and, crucially, his exceptional ability to regain his feet. He speculated that Chimaev, aware of past criticisms regarding his finishing rate, might enter the octagon with an aggressive mindset, determined to make a definitive statement.
Fan question, be honest, what really makes you think Strickland can even come close to winning? Because from what I saw with Khamzat versus DDP, I see the same thing happening with Strickland, just more violent. You might be right, brother. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I think Strickland has a better ground game and has a better chance of getting back to his feet. And I don't think Strickland is going to sit there and let him crucifix him and do nothing. But to your point, I do think Khamzat heard the criticism, so he's going to be looking for finishes, and he's going to be a lot more violent on the ground. But I just think over 5 rounds, over 25 minutes, Strickland has the willpower, the skill set to get up in certain instances.
Where Brendan Schaub ultimately favors Sean Strickland in a protracted contest, believing that over a full 5 rounds, Strickland's renowned resilience and mental fortitude could prove decisive. He emphasized Strickland's formidable ability to withstand damage and his comfort in drawn-out, gritty battles, citing his superior cardio compared to both Khamzat and Dricus du Plessis, while acknowledging concerns about durability, especially whether Strickland could absorb the kind of early punishment du Plessis endured. Schaub identified rounds 4 and 5 as critical, asserting that Strickland typically gains momentum in these later stages. This long game advantage, in Schaub's estimation, significantly enhances Strickland's chances beyond what many currently anticipate.
He's going to get taken down. I think it's very tough to finish on the ground. I think he's more savvy on the ground, and I think his cardio is definitely better than Khamzat's and better than DDP's. The question, though, and you have a good point, is his durability. Because, DDP's an indestructible Australian fucking tank. He's a big dude and can take a lot of punishment. Can Strickland? So we'll find out. I think he can, and I think it makes for a great fight. I just think Strickland's game plan and what the questions that need to be answered are those first 3 rounds. Can he withstand the onslaught of Khamzat? If he can, the round 4 and 5 can get tricky for Khamzat. That's where Strickland really thrives, and what's that look like if we do get there? And that's why I hang my hat on, where I'm like, I think he has a better chance to beat him than DDP did. That's it. Could be totally wrong.
When offering his prediction, James Lynch leans towards a Khamzat Chimaev victory, though he diverges from the common expectation of an early finish, particularly a submission, which many fans are projecting. Lynch points out Chimaev's inability to submit Dricus du Plessis, suggesting that a quick submission against someone with Strickland's robust defensive habits is far from a foregone conclusion. Instead, Lynch's forecast gravitates towards a decision win for Chimaev, primarily due to Strickland's strong takedown defense and his proven capacity to escape unfavorable positions, factors that could undeniably prolong the fight.
I don't think Sean Strickland will have lightning strike twice. Of course, he got that big upset over Israel Adesanya a couple years ago. I think Chimaev's going to win. However, I don't think he's going to finish Strickland. We looked at the fan voting here. Majority of fans do feel it'll be by submission. He's fighting a guy in Sean Strickland who has never been submitted in his career. And you look at all the fights he's had, 37 total. I don't know if Chimaev will be able to do it. But we'll see, though. Because he wasn't able to submit DDP. We'll see how Strickland's submission defense is, but I think it'll be a little bit better. So a couple of reasons why I think decision and not finish. Let's go with this. Like I mentioned there, Strickland never been submitted in 37 career fights. He's got 76% takedown defense, so I think his takedown defense will be better than what we saw against DDP. Although saying that, Chimaev did make DDP look really average, and DDP obviously, or below average, I should say, and DDP obviously beat Strickland twice. Strickland's been knocked out 2 times. The first one, knockout could happen too, right? People could say knockout. We do have some people picking knockout, just 5% saying knockout. That might happen. Strickland has been knocked out before, but a little bit of context helps, right? So one of his knockout losses was against Lesky dos Santos. It was a spinning heel kick and punches. It was a TKO finish. And also keep in mind how much weight Strickland was cutting at 170. I think he was a little bit more susceptible to getting knocked out by then.
Lynch also challenges the prevailing knockout narrative surrounding Strickland. While acknowledging past KOs, he contextualizes them. One resulted from a rare spinning heel kick, and the other was delivered by Alex Pereira, a fighter known for his exceptional striking power against nearly all opponents. Lynch does not place Chimaev in the same category regarding pure knockout capabilities. Furthermore, he noted Strickland's strategic missteps in the Pereira fight, where he unwisely engaged in a striking contest against a significantly more dangerous stand-up specialist. Therefore, while a knockout remains a possibility, Lynch views it as a less probable outcome for this particular matchup.
There was that one. The other knockout loss was Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira's knocking out everyone. I don't really put Chimaev in the same category as Pereira with knockout power. Maybe we could make that argument, but Strickland had just a terrible game plan in that fight, trying to strike with a former glory kickboxer champion. So don't know if that'll happen either. So that's another reason why I'm leaning submission. Chimaev has gone the distance in 3 of his last 5 fights. Let's not forget about that. As great as he looked in that last fight, that was also a decision. He did finish Whitaker, but Usman was a decision. Holland's been submitted a handful of times, and he also went the distance with Burns. So yeah, 3 of his last 5, he has gone the distance. Strickland, I don't think will submit him, and he likely won't knock him out. Strickland did get a TKO win in his last fight, but that's not really typical for Strickland. He himself, if you look at his last 5 fights, only got 1 finish there. If you want to go in his last 6, he's only got 2 finishes in his last 6 fights. That's not a good ratio for him to finish Chimaev. So, I don't really see, you're almost banking on a Strickland decision if he was to win, and I just don't know if that's going to happen here. Again, Chimaev, very strong, very active, very fast. We know he's got the cardio now to go 5 rounds.
Tim Welch characterized Sean Strickland as a master of scrambling back to his feet, particularly when utilizing the cage. Welch also emphasized Strickland's size, predicting he would be considerably larger than expected on fight night, well prepared for a grueling 5-round contest. He detailed how Strickland's team meticulously simulates Chimaev's relentless pressure by constantly rotating fresh wrestlers into training. Welch clearly articulated that despite Chimaev's early round danger, Strickland is an exceptionally difficult opponent to keep grounded or to break psychologically.
He literally is a black belt at getting up, especially when there's a cage there, there's a wall there for him to get up on, and he's not a small guy. He's going to go in there probably 200 and probably close to 210. He's going to go in there with some big size, ready for 5 rounds. And you know those guys, you know Coach Eric Nixick. I remember asking him in the past, like, how do you even prepare for someone like Khamzat? They said just getting fresh guys, fresh big wrestlers, and just having them shoot on him multiple times over and over and over and over. Again, when you're training that hard, then because you see Strickland when he's at a fight camp, he's looking 215, 220. So you're training that hard on depleted calories. Hopefully he gets to the fight healthy, but God damn it, that's going to be a good one. It really
that
is.
Press conference is going to be crazy. That stare down in the cage is going to be crazy.
In his prediction, Bedtime MMA expressed a firm leaning toward Khamzat Chimaev, stating a current inability to pick against him. He views Chimaev as one of those rare fighters whose defeat is difficult to envision, akin to how dominant champions are discussed in their prime. While acknowledging that a Strickland upset would be monumental, especially given his past triumph over Israel Adesanya, he remains unconvinced that such an outcome will materialize again in this particular fight.
Yeah, you can't pick against Khamzat. I just can't see anybody really beating him. It's just hard to it's same with like Ilya. It's really hard to picture.
Can you imagine Sean Strickland going off? I mean, upsetting Izzy, then he upsets Khamzat.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that'd be amazing.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be
Fucking
good.
wild.
So,
'Cause he's making fun of he's talking shit like he called him a Chechen cunt, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like
Oh,
bringing up all
whore.
like the Kadyrov stuff and like he's and they train together as well. So there's a lot of beef there.
That's crazy. So I didn't even see June 6th. A main event: Bilal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim, and then a bunch of guys that you really just don't know who they are.
Yeah, they added Fares ZM to that card. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a really, really good like ranked lightweight. He's fighting Tom Nolan. That's a sick fight in the lightweight division. I wish that wasn't in the Apex because those guys are like 2 of the best lower ranked lightweights. I think those guys should be up there in the top 10.
Joe Rogan emphasizes Sean Strickland's famously awkward fighting style as a key factor against Khamzat Chimaev. Strickland's unorthodox approach, though not visually refined, consistently proves effective due to its unpredictable nature. He habitually leans away from strikes, maintains a constant jab to control distance, and frequently touches opponents, whose blocks still register the impact. Furthermore, Strickland launches strikes from unconventional angles that often find their mark. This unique style can disrupt opponents, preventing them from establishing a comfortable rhythm, and if Chimaev struggles to find his usual early flow, it could fundamentally alter the fight's complexion.
Really good at moving back away from
He's
shots
circling
and
out while
countering.
the hands are in your face.
Yeah,
too.
it's weird.
He also throws like looping shots on purpose sometimes. Like you would think it's bad technique, but he's like finding a way around your guard.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
catching you with weird stuff. And his fucking jab is on point.
But
That fluffy fight.
However, Rogan also highlighted the inherent risks of Strickland's distinct style. He noted that while Strickland can appear dominant for extended periods, a single misstep can entirely shift momentum, especially against a formidable opponent. Rogan stressed that at the elite level, even minor errors are immediately capitalized upon. Consequently, the fight hinges on Strickland's ability to maintain a flawless performance. If he stays sharp, he can create a frustrating and challenging environment. But any lapse, no matter how brief, could swiftly turn the tide against him.
Hear the thud in his jab when Fluffy was blocking him, and it was hard.
He
it
was mixing
heavy.
his kicks in there well. He's gonna have to watch that. Though,
And he
with
wasn't
Khamzat.
getting hit, man. The thing about him, if you watch him when he's on point, he's so fucking hard to hit. He just fucked up with Alex. Like, you just can't.
Michael Bisping assesses this fight primarily through the lens of danger for Sean Strickland, largely attributing this to Khamzat Chimaev's early round aggression. Bisping focuses on Chimaev's typical strategy of starting fast and aiming to dominate from the outset. If Chimaev secures an early takedown and establishes control, the situation could rapidly deteriorate for Strickland. However, Bisping also acknowledges Strickland's relentless work ethic on the ground, noting his refusal to passively accept positions, which provides him a crucial avenue for survival even if he loses the initial exchanges.
It's a tough fight for Strickland, I'm not going to lie, but he is tough to take down. He's tough to hold down. He does have a ground game. and he's going to talk some shit. And I've heard there's a bunch of Chechens hunting Sean Strickland down in Las Vegas, and he's got to be careful. And I heard Sean like, hey, man, I've got guns. I got guns. You can come to my house, man. Here's the thing, guys. If they come to my house, I got the guns.
I'm almost certain Strickland's going to have a gun with him wherever he is in Vegas, and good luck.
Yeah, he's going to.
Expanding on the broader context, Bisping believes the matchup is strategically sound, given Strickland's journey to this point. This particular fight requires no artificial hype, as both athletes inherently command significant attention. Ultimately, the contest will be defined by pressure. Chimaev is expected to aggressively pursue takedowns and seek to impose his control. The critical question is whether Strickland can prevent this dominance from taking root. If Strickland consistently gets back to his feet, forcing Chimaev to continually exert himself, the fight could extend into later rounds. Conversely, if Chimaev maintains early control, the challenge for Strickland will become exponentially greater.
Messed up to Imavov, look at his resume or whatever. And on every one, I responded, hey guys, who was his last loss though? Like, if your last loss is to a guy who's coming off of a performance like that against somebody who we all agreed was one fight away from the title in Fluffy Hernandez, you go out there and finish him like that, jump on the mic. How do you not? Especially for a company starving for an American champion.
You lost to Strickland in 2023, November, not January, sorry. So 3 years ago.
I think
he's on a 5-fight win streak, and he beat Izzy. That was sensational. Second round knockout, right hand over the top. Against Bohalio, impressive victory, but not as good as Sean going out there and beating the brakes and finishing Fluffy. And then on the microphone as well, the way that he acted, then with the backstory and the beef and the way that, these guys are going to shit talk it up. Sean Strickland's not going to back down. People talk about wanting to see rivalries and real characters. Well, my God, you have got it here, 100%. Yeah. But the big question is, can he stop the takedowns? Can he take the shots from Khamzat? Because he's got knockout power as well. He's not just a wrestler.
Ultimately, the outcome of this fight hinges on which competitor can first impose their will and maintain control. Should Khamzat secure early takedowns and dictate the pace, a dominant performance could unfold rapidly. However, if Strickland persistently regains his footing and forces the bout into the later rounds, the momentum could drastically shift, creating an uncomfortable scenario for Chimaev. This fundamental dynamic explains the widespread divergence of opinions, as the fight is far more nuanced than many believe, with any single moment having the potential to alter the entire trajectory.